I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this one. We have the band Esoteric and their album A Pyrrhic Existence. They're a UK funeral doom metal band. If you have not heard of funeral doom, it sounds like funeral doom, a funeral dirge. It's characterized by long, drawn out, plodding songs that go through many movements. It's either somber or evil. Lots of distorted guitars, a lot of clean sections, long songs, but when done right, immense payoff. This band is similar to Mournful Congregation, Evoken, or even Loss. They're not afraid to speed things up a bit. They have three guitar players, and you can tell they have this atmosphere about them. They have electronics layered throughout the whole album, and it adds all this beauty and chaos to it. We also see a lot of growls, a lot of deep guttural vocals. It seems to jump between being overly depressing and overly evil. Now, our first track on this album is called Descent, and that is what we do on it. This song is 27 minutes long. Yes, you heard me, 27 minutes. And it starts off quiet. It has quiet, clean guitars that open. Then we're introduced to the distorted guitars. And we have a very long dirge that plods along. And it goes through different movements and different drum patterns. And it's painful. It's also beautiful at the same time. I'd say the beginning is definitely traditional doom if you're familiar with the genre. It builds, it falls. But then around 11 minutes, we're at a quiet moment and it starts building. And then we have like this build-up that has this hazy atmosphere of guitars going over it. And everything is kind of climbing at the same time. And it keeps getting more claustrophobic as it goes on. It's like guitars like... And it keeps getting higher in pitch, and I don't know if they're sweeping or if there's like some keyboards going on, but it just keeps getting louder, and it's almost like we're just pitch shifting up, but it doesn't sound like we're out of key or anything, if that makes sense. So the guitar over top gets more intense, and then we kind of have like just the drums and the other guitars doing kind of a rhythm, but then the drums break and they start doing some tom work. Meanwhile, the hazy guitar over top of that just keeps building on top of that, and then it gets this moment where they're like doing a fill. It's like dun dun dun, and you think it's gonna do something else, but then no, it goes right back to what we were doing before, but then it just somehow feels even more intense. During this moment, I'm like, where is this gonna take me? It got so claustrophobic. I had headphones on a couple times, or the other times driving. It doesn't matter. It just takes you up so high, and then it just breaks. It falls apart, and it just leaves you. And you're like, and we have like this hazy atmosphere over it. I don't know. It's like guitars, it's keyboards, and you get a little break. We have this clean guitar that comes in. It's got this nice little melody. Doesn't last that long, and then we have a over top of that, but it doesn't last that long either before we're back to that melody. Does this a couple times, and then the second time the guitars come in really loud, they change notes, and then there's another time we go back to the clean, and then comes back in. It's a little longer. Perfect way to like bring it back in without us going through like a big build. It was like quick, and then they teased us a couple times. And then everything kicks in. We have this beautiful wailing melody over the top, like the guitar's weeping over it. It's just beautiful, just melodic, it's somber, it's tear-jerking. That's gliding over this kind of heavy backdrop of bass and guitars and the growls. And then like we're still on track one, okay? We're like 22 minutes in. We have this weeping, and I mean, you thought the first time was weeping. This guitar solo, it's heartbreaking. And then there's this great moment where the drums are building, and then the guitar starts like doing some sweeps, and it's fast, and the drums are like doing a big fill, and they just follow suit. And I don't know who's leading who, or they just knew to go that way at the same time because they're both really sad. Then it goes back to being slow, but then it's like somehow still intense, more intense than the first round. They keep doing it, and then afterwards, like the last 3 minutes, where we got some more kind of atmosphere. It's almost like a horror movie. It's very scary, and it's a perfect segue into the next track. The track 2 is a rotting dereliction. And it's a much shorter song, clocking in at 15 minutes, so a shorter song. This one doesn't waste much time at all. This one kicks in, it's evil. We got growls. It does a lot of similar things. By this point, we've seen what the genre has to offer, but this song gives a much more terrifying look onto what this genre does. Descent was a more melodic track in so many ways. This track does not. What is surprising about this track, we get blast beats out of Esoteric. Yes, blast beats in doom metal. You don't get that all the time, but they took it away as quick as it came in because they're teasing, which is perfect. I applaud that use of blast beats. You need to have moments like this on albums this long. I think the thing's like an hour and 30 minutes or around there. Yes, I have my phone because I write down notes and I want to make sure I get all my points across. Yeah, hour 38 minutes. That's got to be like a double CD. I should get that thing. Rotting Dereliction also has these wretched vocals. They're not really gutturals. They're twisted. He's using the higher end of his voice. I wouldn't say they're shrieks. They're not like blood curdling by any means, but they're twisted. It's hellish. We're in hell in this song. And towards the middle and end, we have this nice like opportunity for the bass player to kind of shine. We have a kind of clean part, kind of quiet, and then it builds and we start feeling the tempo speeding up. They really utilize speeding up the songs. They really add some drama, some build up. You know I like build up. I probably say that word a lot when I do reviews. Then you get a break on the song Antem Yatra. Nice synthy interlude. I really like that. It's a good little break between the destruction and the chaos. But you're not done yet. You are far from being done with this album. Consuming Lies creeps in, and it builds into more doom, just like what we've seen before. I think this album gets better with each listen, but what you've heard on these first few tracks is pretty much an idea of what is to come. Although I'd say it keeps my attention the whole time, so it's not like you're just going to hear the same thing. But this is what the genre does. Consuming Lies has a pretty good chugging part. It's very catchy. It's a headbanging part. Dun, 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 dun. And then this other guitar over that, it goes wow. I've never heard like a wow like that. It's wow. Dun, 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 dun. It's cool. I did not do it justice. I love singing guitar parts, so great drum fills. They keep upping the aggression. Towards the end, they have this like eerie, kind of jazzy section. It's kind of got some swing to it. Reminds me of something Neurosis would do. Culmination, next track, has some wonderful build-ups, heavy, spine-tingling moments, fast parts. Also has a very jammy section. We get some wah-wah pedal on some guitar solos. It's a nice little touch. They bring out little differences in each track. It's nice. It keeps it fresh. I'd say this track has some very meditative moments. Got some haziness to it. Very atmospheric finish. This is the song's like 18 minutes long. It's a little bit longer, you know. But by this point, if you're into the album, this is what's to be expected. If you're listening to a doom metal and you know the song's like 5 minutes long, you know that you're getting an interlude or an intro. That's not a song. Sick and Tired is the closer. It's like 15 minutes. It's got an anthemic build-up. I see why that's the last song. My rule sometimes for music is like the last song should be the longest. It should be the most epic. But Descent is perfectly placed. It's the best introduction to this album, and they have proven me wrong with that theory, although most of the time I do tend to like songs that have a longer finish with the last track. But Sick and Tired is good. It's got some evilness to it. It's a great finisher. It brings it all together. I first heard their 2011 album. It's been 8 years since they put an album out. That's crazy. Paragon of Dissonance. It's a great album too. So if you like this, check that out. I don't know if I'd recommend one or the other. That's, this isn't a bad place to start. I don't think you're gonna get one that's more accessible than the other. The main thing that this genre has going against it is accessibility. It's just partly because everything's so long, but I promise you, if you land on the right band and you take time to let the music take you places, it has a great payoff. So, Esoteric, A Pyrrhic Existence, I'll put the link in the bottom of the video down below to their Bandcamp, so you can check out their stuff and buy stuff from them and support them, because it's worth it.